Welcome back. So today we're going to be checking out the new airborne paratroopers, the free ones that just dropped, or just became available for the Soviets in Enlisted. We're going to be looking at the 5th Airborne Corps, 10th Airborne Brigade. Per their description, the brigade was formed in May of 41 on the basis of the 223rd Infantry Division, and it began to take part in battles in 41. In the fall of 41, they landed in the Orly area to fight the enemy advance on Moscow. So, what do you get in-game? They're paratroopers. They start with 12.3% bonus vitality. Perks are +1 vitality, -1 weapon handling, and +6 mobility. And they come with the Fedorov Automat, which is a tech tree assault rifle, automatic rifle, whatever you wish to classify it as. It is the second to last weapon in the Soviet assault line, and all around it's a pretty effective weapon. Looking at the squad itself, they come with non-fully upgraded automats, so, well, some of them are not fully upgraded. Some of them are. No, I guess they are all fully upgraded. My auto-equip, or my preset equip, decided to put the non-fully upgraded ones on half of them, and the fully upgraded ones on the other half of them. So, yes, they come with 6 fully upgraded Fedorov automats, rank 5 automatic rifles. They have a 25-round magazine, 52-17 recoil with 12.6 damage at 10 meters, 9.8 at 100 meters. They can be auto, they can be semi-auto, and just like the other premium paratroopers for the Soviets, you can swap their weapons out for anything that you like. In addition to that, you can give them pistols, mines, grenades, flasks, binoculars, melee weapons, and a single medkit. So, I have them equipped with, at rank 5, with Fedorovs, with axes on 5 of them. On the 6th guy, I have a shovel. I don't know, you never know when you need a shovel, right? I have them with flasks. I have 2 with AT mines, 2 with TNT charges, and 2 with AP mines. However, they do get mines out of their box. And then I have them all with explosive packs and a single medkit, and Tokarev TT pistols. At rank 2, I alternatively run them with PPS 42s. I wanted to differentiate them from the premium paratroopers that I have with PPS 43s. There's a slight stability difference and a slight fire rate difference between the two guns, but in practice it isn't particularly noticeable. They're both submachine guns with 35-round magazines. They both perform very well in my experience. You can't go wrong with either one at rank 2. They have pretty unique uniforms compared to their other fellows. Or at least the 2 paratrooper squads look different from each other. They look more like what you would expect a squad from Berlin to look like. They have camo uniforms, they have their little soft caps. You can swap them for helmets, but the helmets for now are tied to each campaign. So for example, I bought a helmet in Moscow just to test this. If I set them to Berlin or Stalingrad, technically I still have that helmet and I can transfer it between the campaigns, but if I put it on him in Moscow and then I switch to Berlin, then it asks me if I want to buy another helmet, which is mildly annoying. That being said, I wouldn't worry too much about their customization. There's going to be customization changes coming in the not so far off future. So let's get into their weapons and let's get into their perks. So when they drop in, when I was first testing them, I started in BR2 with the PPS 42s. I dropped in, I picked up an AT squad, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that they pulled out Panzerfaust 60s instead of Panzerfaust 100s. The premium squad, they have Panzerfaust 100s, and in a lot of ways, I think the weapons that they pull out of their box are excessively powerful for what they are, since they can be brought into rank 2 or they can be brought into rank 5. So, seeing them with Panzerfausts, or Panzerfaust 60s, I was pretty pleasantly surprised, because giving them rank 3 pickups, I think that's perfectly acceptable. Rank 3 is going to be in almost every 1, 2, 3 low tier game, and it's going to be in almost every 3, 4, 5 high tier game. So, if Darkflow doesn't have a system in place for the box to scale based off of the BR of your primary weapon, then giving them rank 3 pickups, that's a very good compromise. So, imagine my surprise then when I dropped in later on and I went to pick up the assault squad. I had expected them to have DP-27s then, and to my absolute surprise and joy, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm going to abuse the hell out of powerful weapons if you give them to me, they get RD-44s. Yes, you heard me correctly. The last light machine gun in the Soviet tech tree, the not APKP RD-44 100-round machine gun, you get that. You get 3 of them, you also get your extra med packs. It's the same assault paratrooper pickup that you've experienced in every other paratrooper pickup, except they get RD-44s, which, when you go into a rank 5 game, is amazing. And when you go into a rank 2 game, it's absolutely batshit crazy. You want to talk about clearing rooms, sweeping the streets, bringing the wrath of Stalin down on your enemies? This is it. So, then I was wondering, what do you get if you pick up the snipers? Well, if you pick up the snipers, you get SVT-40s. It's, again, relatively balanced. They could have gone with SVT-38s. I don't think there's a significant difference between the rank 3 SVT-38 and the rank 4 SVT-40. The premium paratroopers have AVS-36s, so this was also a more balanced approach, giving them the SVT-40. It still has value if you get into a standoff situation, like if you're on Stalingrad and you're fighting over the rail line from the train station, or if you're in some of the different buildings that overlook the courtyards. There's an argument for bringing the sniper SVT, especially if the other team isn't making significant pushes and they're really just sitting there trading fire with you. There's an argument for it. You also get a radio operator, so you can call in artillery. It's fine, no complaints. They're like any other sniper squad, they get additional AP mines. And mind you, any mines that you equip, you get those in addition to whatever mines you pick up from the box. So if you go AT and you already gave the guy an AP mine, you have an AP mine and an AT mine. If you go recon, then you have an AP mine, and now you have a second AP mine. So it is worthwhile to outfit your soldiers with additional mines, as long as you actually intend to place them, otherwise it's probably a waste of silver. But that led me to wonder, what do you get if you pull out the mortars? Because, again, the premium one, they get all rank 4 and 5 gear, so the premium squad, they get the BM-41 mortars. These guys, sticking mostly to their bread and butter of having lower rank box weapons, they pull out the RM-40, which is the rank 3 mortar. I mean, I would rather have the BM-41. To be honest, I don't necessarily think that putting a mortar in rank 5 was worth it, but it is what it is. Most people aren't going to play the mortars that often. If you like mortars, or if you need the engineer, you can pull out the mortars. I think that the mortar team is pretty valuable if you want to get a flanking spawn point. There's a few maps in Moscow, for example, where your team has to cross water, and so if you drop your paratroopers ahead of the main advance and behind or flanking the enemy, you can get a really strong spawn point down that makes it so your team doesn't have to worry as much about crossing the water. And it can make taking those objectives a lot easier since you don't have to worry about the AI getting stuck in the water. So, I think in general, they perform very well. They're arguably just as powerful as I expected them to be. Coming off the premium paratroopers, because their box pickups were exceptionally good, I expected these ones to also be quite good. And it seems that that's turned out to mostly be the truth. Sure, there's a range difference and a slight penetration difference between the Panzerfaust 60 and 100, but having any Panzerfaust for dealing with tanks at any BR is going to be exceptionally powerful. The Panzerfaust 100, mind you, has 220 mils of pen, and its sights and its projectile propellant are more powerful. The Panzerfaust 60, by comparison, only pens 180 mils of armor, but 180 mils of armor is going to be more than enough to deal with just about any threat that you see, especially given the mobility and the versatility of paratroopers and their ability to deploy across the map. So even though you probably can't deal with a Tiger II from the front, it's very likely that you'll be able to insert your paratroopers somewhere where they'll be able to get a side shot on a Tiger II. So virtually any armor you run into should be mincemeat. Likewise, I think you have a very strong anti-infantry option with the assault squad. Similar to the premium paratroopers, every time that you drop in, I think you have a fairly simple choice. I think it's more situational this time around than with the other ones. And basically the choice is, do I need to deal with tanks, and then you pull out the AT and the Panzerfausts, or do I need to deal with infantry, and then you pull out the RD-44s and the assault squad? The other two options are pretty niche. If you need a flanking spawn point, you pull out the mortars. If you need to sit there and deal with standoff, let's say, like I said, you're defending an objective and the enemy just is not attacking your objective for whatever reason, you're just in one of those games, and you still want to make use of your paratroopers, then the recon squad can be a very compelling argument. Other than that, though, I think it really just comes down to, are there lots of infantry? Go assault. Are there lots of tanks? Go AT. And that's whether you're at high BR or if you're at low BR. It was a different argument with the previous set of paratroopers because the DT-29 is a good gun even at high rank, but the AS-44 is so good that it's not necessary to take an assault squad in a high-ranked match. And to be fair, that same argument could be leveraged here if you put AS-44s instead of Fedorovs on the squad. However, I think the RD-44 is such a good machine gun, it is so stable, and it has so many bullets in its belt that regardless of what your primary is, if you have to deal with infantry, and infantry are a greater threat than tanks, you should be taking the assault squad almost every time, because the RD-44 is just that good. Now, if you have to deal with tanks, if the enemy keeps pulling them out, or if they're hammering your fellows, or for whatever reason you decide the tanks are the bigger threat, you're not taking a huge impact to your ability to fight by doing so. You can very happily pull out your Panzerfaust 60s and your AT mines, and you can go to town and you can clear out enemy armor, no problem. In general, I believe that these paratroopers are very, very much so worth grinding out. If you haven't started on the grind, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you grind them out. You probably will have to spend gold for one day at this point. I think there's enough time left from today, Saturday, the 16th, because this goes until the 30th, and you can get these every 2 days. You have today and tomorrow, right? You only need 8 days completed to get them. If you haven't started, you need to get them, and you need to work on them now. You might need to spend gold to get one task done. If you watch this video a few days from now, I still think you should grind them out, even if you have to throw a little bit of gold at them. They're still going to be cheaper than their premium counterparts. And at the end of the day, if you're somebody who doesn't care about that, who you're willing to throw gold at both of them, then I highly recommend you get both of them. Having two 6-man squads of paratroopers that can insert anywhere on the map and have boatloads of firepower that can be reactionary to any developments in your match, it gives you unparalleled versatility. The fact that you can bring them into every BR, that you can outfit them however you want, and that they come with exceptionally powerful box weapons, I highly recommend using both of them. The only exception to this is if you're the kind of player who has absolutely no interest in playing the Soviet Union in Enlisted ever. If you never plan on playing the Soviets, then I suppose you can pass them up. Mind you, you're missing out on gold weapon orders by passing them up. You're missing out on appearance change orders. But in general, these Soviet paratroopers are a must-have. Compared to all of the previous paratroopers that have come out, I think that there are certain ones in the past that you could have skipped, and you would have lost out, but it wouldn't have been significant. Like the Japanese paratroopers, they offer phenomenal reaction abilities, but their primary weapons aren't that fantastic. You could make the same argument for the low-rank American paratroopers. I still think that they're phenomenal to have. I missed out on the Italian paratroopers, personally. But I already have the Pacific ones, and I already had the premium ones from Normandy. But as far as power rankings go amongst paratroopers, both of these, the free Russian paratroopers and the premium Russian paratroopers, I think rank all the way at the top. They are absolute 10s. I think almost every other type of paratrooper that's come out has had a weapon set in their box that just isn't worth picking up for whatever reason. I think almost every previous set of paratroopers I know they have been limited by their primary weapons to certain BRs. So, because these paratroopers can be placed at any BR, and because every single weapon that you can get out of your box is good, there isn't a single dead set that I would just say don't bother to pick them up. There's no reason to. They're 10s for me. Both of them. They're absolute must-haves if you're going to play Russia. They just offer so much flexibility, they offer so much power, they offer such a fun gameplay loop. I guess the last thing I'll get into with them are their perks. So, I re-rolled all of mine. I don't remember exactly what they started with. They started at rank 4. I upped them to rank 5 and I reset their perks. So, on my first paratrooper, I have... and to give you their stats, they're 22 mobility, 17 vitality, and 15 weapon handling, so you can't pick up horizontal recoil, but I think that's probably okay. So what I have is 3 levels in the hard landing in mobility, 1 in fire extinguishing, 3 in medpack usage speed, and 2 in run speed. And then I have vitality, and I have 1 point in health regen, I've got 1 point in weapon changing speed, and then I've got 2 points in vertical recoil and 2 points in firearm reload speed. I changed up the mobility tier 1 perks a little bit on some of the other paratroopers. I like having the hard landing on the first paratrooper because the first paratrooper is going to be the one you're playing as. You can open your chute lower and you can make more aggressive drops that way. It doesn't really matter on the other soldiers, but it's an option if it's something that you're interested in. You could alternatively take crouch speed and changing a pose. Because you have 22 points in mobility, though, I would take all of your tier 1 perks there, except for maybe weapon changing speed. And then everything else is up to you. I think Vitality is a must-have. Because you only have 15 points in weapons, I think that reload speed's probably the best thing you can get there, and having vertical recoil just makes things more comfortable, but you don't really need it. If you plan on using bolt actions with them, or equipping them with Winchester rifles, you could take bolt action fire rate. Or if you're worried about them going down, you could take the downstate perk, but I think vertical recoil is just a better quality of life. And then as far as mobility goes, I like medpack usage speed. I'm sure not everybody cares about that as much. And I usually put 2 points into run speed. You could take the more expensive 16 pointer, but that's not something that I usually bother with because I'd rather have 5% less run speed and have the medpack usage speed, but it's up to you. So to close things out, I think that they're extremely valuable. I think they're must grind. I think they're must pick up. I think it's worthwhile to get both sets of paratroopers, but specifically talking about the free-to-play paratroopers, you absolutely should get them. So, as per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.